Hi, this is RD, rdauditors.com. So basically, we've got some very important information we want to inform you. So there's basically been a post that actually came out that Microsoft, one of the largest tech companies in the world, has a valuation probably about $4-5 trillion or something of that magnitude. Huge founder, Bill Gates. Basically, Microsoft actually provided FBI with keys to unlock encrypted user data, right? So this is astonishing news. And basically it says that Microsoft actually said it receives around 20 requests for BitLocker keys a year. 20 requests for BitLocker keys a year. So if you don't know about BitLocker, basically BitLocker essentially protects device theft, unauthorized physical access, for example. But what it actually doesn't do, doesn't protect you against court orders, subpoenas, search warrants served to Microsoft. So even if you have, for example, your device is locked or you have a strong password or you refuse to unlock, it doesn't matter. Microsoft still can actually provide this information if requested by the FBI. So this is astonishing news, absolutely astonishing news here. So it says in Windows 11, uploading your key to the cloud is activated by default for convenience. So you can basically see here a breakdown of here's the BitLocker recovery, enter the recovery key for this drive, gives information. So it's quick and easy. FBI want any information, they can be able to access this. So imagine this is for Microsoft. So who knows what the situation is also for Apple. Will be interesting to find out what if they provide this information or not. Probably they do, but I'm going to definitely do some research about this. By the way, if you like this type of information regarding security, cybersecurity, compliance, please like, subscribe and follow. Also, if you need any audits as a business, penetration testing, SOC 1, SOC 2 compliance, smart contract auditing, protocol auditing, reach out to us and we can help you. So let's get back to it. So basically here, if we see here under TechCrunch, it basically just states here that many modern Windows computers rely on full disk encryption, yes, so-called BitLocker. This is the type of technology should prevent anyone except the device owner from accessing the data, obviously, as I mentioned. But default BitLocker recovery keys are uploaded to Microsoft's cloud. Okay, so this is very important that you need to be aware of. The keys actually uploaded to the cloud allow for the tech giant to basically access information, right? That's requested. And there was obviously a case that was reported from several people suspected of fraud related to the pandemic unemployment assistance program in Guam, a US island Pacific. Yes. So they gave information regarding this case and actually how this was retrieved and basically provided to the FBI based on this case. So it just shows exactly the risks involved and where we are today. Yes. So, if Microsoft can actually provide BitLocker recovery keys to law enforcement, then your data essentially can be decrypted without your consent, right? That's pretty clear. If authorities obtain a valid legal order, yes? Also, you have to take into consideration with BitLocker, it's not a zero knowledge encryption, right? In all scenarios. So unlike some end-to-end encryption services where even a provider can't even decrypt. So it's not even a zero knowledge proof. And these are where the risks lie. So essentially the risk obviously increases if keys are escrowed to the cloud. Yeah. So Microsoft accounts, Azure AD and so on and so forth. So if we pull this up, one thing you have to also be aware is with Microsoft have a partnership with OpenAI, right? ChatGPT. This partnership took place in 2019, a massive investment where Microsoft basically took a massive stake of 27% stake in the for-profit of OpenAI, which essentially valued the company at around $135 billion. They're probably worth much more today. And essentially this key partnership involves Microsoft Azure, right? As we mentioned regarding the cloud. Exclusive cloud provider for OpenAI through recent shifts. Model integration. Microsoft has deep exclusive rights to integrate. So where I'm going with this, and if you see this here, you can actually see that ChatGPT data primarily stored and processed on Microsoft Azure cloud servers. So this also shows you that the data that you have or whatever information you have stored within ChatGPT that data is actually stored within Microsoft Azure cloud. So you need to be very, very careful with the information that your data, it's not even a data breach or data leak. It's clearly whenever the FBI or some sort needs this information, they'll be able to provide this. So this is crucial. It sets a massive precedent, right, in terms of scope creep concerns. So if it says we only get like 20 requests per year, then there's a concern here that the expansion of what qualifies as a valid request, number one. You have to also look at requests in less rights protective jurisdictions. So in terms of in certain jurisdictions, basically if their rights are not as strong as in the US, what then happens if they get requests? Future policy changes under political pressure. Right now we're going through the current administration. There might be immense pressure. What happens? Could these 20 requests turn into 100 requests, 1,000 requests? We don't know. When will the buck stop, right? So the impact, depending on who you are, essentially, basically is that it's similar to like Apple, Google, ISPs, but it's much more serious because obviously cloud escrowed encryption keys are really vulnerable, right? So if there's a breach in that terms from the cloud, then what happens? That's another data breach that you need to take into consideration. So the moral of the story is just be very, very careful with your information. It's very sensitive in terms of that data. You have to be aware if you do have a Microsoft with a Windows 11 operating machine, that you know that obviously if something untoward happens, then your data's not encrypted. There's no, as we mentioned, they can basically, FBI can receive it at their behest. So just something to take into consideration. So if you like this information, please like, subscribe, and follow, and reach out to us for our services if you need help with like smart contract audits and so on and so forth. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.